And in the center of it all stand two women, their faces defiant, their eyes blazing with something stronger than the beasts waiting to tear them apart. One's a noblewoman, born into wealth and privilege. The other's a slave, 8 months pregnant, her body heavy but her spirit unyielding. This isn't just another day in ancient Rome, folks. This is the story of Perpetua and Felicitas, two mothers who stared down an empire and left a legacy that still sends chills down our spines nearly 2,000 years later. Welcome to WTF History. We're in Carthage, a vibrant city in what's now Tunisia, back when it was a jewel of the Roman Empire. It's 203 CE, and the streets hum with merchants, soldiers, and the clash of cultures, Roman, spreading like wildfire. It's not sitting well with Rome's obsession with control. Christians are talking about one God, equality, and you're looking at prison, torture, or a one-way ticket to the arena, where wild animals and gladiators are waiting to make a spectacle of your death. Yeah, the Romans played dirty. Now, let's meet the women at the heart of this story. Vibia Perpetua is 22 years old, a noblewoman from a wealthy family in Thuburbo Minus, a town near Carthage. She's got everything a woman in Roman society could dream of: status, education, a secure future, and a newborn baby boy she's still breastfeeding. Perpetua's life could have been a breeze, filled with lavish dinners and social prestige. But there's a catch. She's secretly converted to Christianity, a choice that's about to flip her world upside down. Then there's Felicitas, carrying the weight of a child and the chains of her status. Yet, like Perpetua, she's found something worth more than safety: her faith in this outlawed religion that promises a different kind of freedom. How do these two women, from opposite ends of Rome's brutal hierarchy, end up sharing the same fate? They're catechumens, new converts still learning the ropes of their faith, which makes them especially dangerous in Rome's eyes. To the empire, Christianity isn't just a religion. It's a rebellion against the gods, the emperor, and the social order that keeps nobles on top and slaves on the bottom. Being caught as a Christian is bad, but being a catechumen? That's like painting a target on your back. What sets this story apart isn't just the arrest or what's coming. Though, trust me, it's brutal. It's that Perpetua wrote it down. In a filthy Roman prison, this young mother kept a diary, pouring her heart onto the page. Her words survive in a document called The Passion of Perpetua and Felicitas, one of the oldest texts ever written by a Christian woman. In a world where women's voices were barely a whisper, especially for slaves like Felicitas, Perpetua's diary is a thunderclap. She writes about her arrest, her fears, her love for her child, and the visions that keep her strong. It's raw, real, and feels like she's speaking directly to us across 2 millennia. Perpetua describes the suffocating heat, the stench, the constant dread of what's next. But what cuts her deepest isn't the chains or the darkness. It's being separated from her newborn son. She's still breastfeeding, and the thought of him crying, hungry, without her is a torment worse than any torture Rome can dish out. She writes, "I was tormented with worry for my baby." If you're a parent, you know that kind of pain hits different. It's a knife to the heart, twisting with every thought of what your child might be going through. Her father doesn't make it easier. He's a devout pagan, a man steeped in Roman tradition, and he's desperate to save his daughter. He visits her in prison, each time more frantic than the last. Imagine an old man, his face lined with grief, tearing at his beard, throwing himself on the ground, begging Perpetua to think of her baby, her family, her place in society. He's not just asking her to save herself, and no amount of tears or guilt can pull her away from it. Felicitas, meanwhile, is facing her own nightmare. 8 months pregnant. She's not just dealing with the fear of death, but the possibility that her pregnancy might delay her execution. Roman law forbids killing pregnant women, which sounds humane, but isn't. For Felicitas, being left behind while her companions face the arena feels like a betrayal of their shared faith. She wants to stand with them, to die with them, to make their testimony complete. That's the kind of conviction that stops you in your tracks. Imagine praying for labor, to come early so you can face death with your friends. And then, 2 days before the execution date, it happens. Felicitas gives birth in that grimy cell, surrounded by guards who mock her pain. One sneers, "If you can't handle childbirth, how will you face the beasts?" Her response is pure steel. "What I suffer now, I suffer alone. But then, another will be in me who will suffer for me, because I too will suffer for him." She's talking about Christ. Perpetua and Felicitas aren't just risking their lives. They're giving up everything: family, children, status, survival, for a belief Rome sees as a dangerous rebellion. This isn't a private act of devotion. It's a public challenge to an empire that thrives on control. And Rome? They're not about to let that slide. The stage is set for a showdown in Carthage's amphitheater, a place where blood is entertainment and defiance is a death sentence. The city of Carthage in 203 CE is alive with a hum of anticipation. The amphitheater looms large, a massive stone circle where Rome's power is on full display. This isn't just a stadium. It's a theater of dominance where gladiators clash, beasts roar, and the crowd feasts on spectacle. For the people of Carthage, it's the ultimate entertainment. Think of it as their version of a blockbuster movie, except the screams are real. Perpetua and Felicitas are about to step into this arena, but not before they face trials that test their spirits in ways that would break most of us. Their story, especially through Perpetua's diary, feels like a conversation with someone standing on the edge of eternity, and it's about to get even more intense. Perpetua's words pull us into her cell, where the darkness isn't just physical, it's a weight on her soul. She's not writing for glory or to impress anyone. She's writing because her story matters, because her faith demands it. The guards allow her baby to stay with her. She calls it divine grace, writing, "Suddenly the prison became a palace for me, so that I preferred being there to anywhere else." Can you imagine that shift? Holding her child again turns a dungeon into a sanctuary, even if just for a moment. Her father, though, keeps coming back, each visit more desperate. He's a man torn between love and loyalty to Rome's traditions. He tries everything: tears, rage, guilt. In one gut-wrenching scene, Perpetua describes him throwing himself on the ground. It's not simple. It's a betrayal of her soul. She stands firm, her faith a shield against his pleas, even as his heartbreak echoes in her words. Felicitas, in her corner of the prison, is fighting a different battle. Her pregnancy is both a burden and a clock ticking down. Roman law might spare her until she gives birth, but that's no comfort. She doesn't want to be left behind when her companions face the arena. To her, martyrdom is a shared act, a testimony that binds them together. When labor comes early, just 2 days before the execution, it's both a relief and a tragedy. She gives birth to a girl in that grim cell, her pain mocked by a guard who sneers, "If you can't handle this, how will you face the beasts?" Felicitas's reply cuts through the cruelty. "What I suffer now, I suffer alone. But then, another will be in me who will suffer for me, because I too will suffer for him." Her faith in Christ's presence is unshakable, a beacon in the darkness. The night before their execution, the group is offered a cena libra, a traditional last meal for the condemned. Most prisoners would use it to drown their fears in wine, but not these Christians. They turn it into an agape meal, a feast of love and faith. Picture Perpetua, Felicitas, and their companions sitting together, not as noblewoman and slave, but as equals, breaking bread and preaching to the crowd gathered to stare. They talk of divine judgment, of joy in what's to come, and the Romans watching are utterly confused. To them, life is everything: status, wealth, survival. But these Christians? Perpetua walks with a shining countenance and calm step, described as the beloved of God. Felicitas, fresh from childbirth, is exultant. The guards demand they wear ritual garments, pagan robes meant to force them to honor Rome's gods. Perpetua pushes back, her voice steady. Relents. They face the beasts as themselves, not as Rome's puppets. Then comes the arena. The men face a wild boar, a bear, a leopard, terrifying but standard for Roman executions. For Perpetua and Felicitas, the Romans choose a wild cow, a deliberate insult tied to the goddess Juno, revered by Roman women. It's meant to strip them of dignity, to mock their faith. They're stripped naked, wrapped in nets, and thrown to the beast. The crowd, hardened to violence, is still shocked. Perpetua, a noble woman, and Felicitas, a new mother with milk still dripping from her breasts, are treated with such cruelty that even the spectators cry out for mercy. The women are pulled back, given loose tunics, but the damage is done. More concerned with modesty than pain, Felicitas is thrown to the ground too, and Perpetua, battered but unbroken, reaches out to help her stand. They're side by side, where gladiators wait to finish the job. Perpetua, almost in a trance, doesn't realize she's already faced the cow until she sees the marks on her body. In their final moments, his hand trembling. His first blow misses, hitting her bones, causing excruciating pain. In an act of unbelievable strength, Perpetua guides his hand to her throat, ensuring the fatal strike. The account says, perhaps such a woman, feared by the unclean spirit, could not be killed unless she herself willed it. That's not just a death, that's a legend. What we just witnessed in that arena isn't just a moment, it's a revolution. Perpetua and Felicitas didn't just die, they redefined what power means. In Rome, power was wealth, status, control. It's the spark of something much bigger, a legacy that's going to echo through centuries and change the world. The passion of Perpetua and Felicitas is more than a historical record. It's a time capsule, preserving the voices of two women who chose faith over everything else. Perpetua's diary is especially staggering because it's one of the earliest known texts by a woman in Western history. In a world where women, especially slaves, were silenced, Perpetua picks up a stylus and writes her truth. She's not writing for fame or to impress anyone. She's writing because her faith demands it, because her story is a testament. Her words are vivid, raw, unflinching. She describes her fears, her love for her child, the visions that give her strength. It's like she's reaching across 2,000 years to tell us, this is who I was. He's giving annual sermons on March 7th, the day of their martyrdom, which becomes a feast day in the Christian calendar. That date still holds meaning today in some traditions. All because of Perpetua and Felicitas. Their story becomes a beacon for Christians who are often persecuted, marginalized, forced to hide. These women show them what it means to stand firm, to face an empire and not blink. Their deaths aren't a defeat. They're a rallying cry, a reminder that faith can topple even the mightiest of hierarchies. What makes this story so wild is how it turns Rome's world upside down. The empire is built on order. Nobles at the top, slaves at the bottom, everyone in their place. Perpetua and Felicitas shatter that. In the arena, they're not noblewoman and slave. They're sisters, equals before their God. That kiss of peace they share before their deaths. It's a quiet rebellion, a statement that in their world, faith and love outweigh status and power. To Romans obsessed with hierarchy, that's mind-boggling. The crowd sees their joy, their calm, their refusal to play by Rome's rules, and it leaves them speechless. Perpetua and Felicitas aren't just defying an empire. They're building a new vision of what the world could be. There's a deep irony here, too. Rome valued women as mothers, as keepers of family lines. Perpetua and Felicitas were mothers. But they made the unimaginable choice to leave their newborns behind, not out of neglect, but out of loyalty to something bigger. Perpetua's son and Felicitas's daughter were given to Christian women to raise, ensuring their legacy lived on. But the sacrifice is heart-wrenching. It's a testament to the depth of their conviction. The kind of choice that makes you stop and think about what you'd be willing to give up for what you believe. The arena was meant to break them, to show Rome's dominance. Instead, it became their stage. The beasts didn't destroy their spirit. They tore down the invisible walls of Rome's hierarchy. The swords that ended their lives didn't silence them. They immortalized their names. Perpetua's diary, Felicitas's courage, their shared defiance. These became the seeds of a spiritual revolution. By the 4th century, Christianity wasn't just surviving. It was becoming Rome's official religion. That's the kind of impact we're talking about. Folks, a legacy that outlasted an empire. So what does this story leave us with? Perpetua and Felicitas weren't just martyrs. They were game changers. They showed that true power isn't in wealth or status. It's in standing up for what you believe, no matter the cost. Their voices, one written, one lived, echo through history, reminding us that even in the darkest moments, a single act of courage can change everything. If this story hit you as hard as it hit me, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next wild tale from WTF history. Drop a comment below and tell us, what other historical figures or insane stories do you want us to cover next? Until then, keep questioning the past because it's got a lot to teach us.